Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are zeroing in on one really pivotal Premier League match. Aston Villa versus Nottingham Forest at Villa Park.
Yeah, and our mission here is to basically synthesize all the expert previews and get you completely up to speed.
Right, we're talking about the huge stakes, the tactical chess match, and maybe most importantly, the big personnel headaches on both sides.
And this is more than just a standard preview, isn't it? It's a turning point. You look at the analysis, and you have a top three side needing to prove something, and a 17th place team just fighting to survive.
So we're really going beyond the predicted scoreline to figure out why this result could define the rest of the season for both of them.
Especially with all the injuries and, the international duties kicking in, the timing is just fascinating.
Okay, let's get into it. Two teams, completely different worlds, but both under a very unique kind of pressure. Let's start with Villa.
The high flyers.
Exactly. Sitting third, they were on this incredible run until they weren't.
And that's the whole story for Villa right now, isn't it? They'd made Villa Park into this absolute fortress. You went there expecting to lose.
It was almost a guaranteed 3 points.
It was. And that momentum, that whole psychological edge, just got shattered by that 4-1 loss to Arsenal for a team with title ambitions or even just Champions League hopes.
A result like that stings. It raises questions.
Immediate questions. So this game against Forest, it's not just about the points. It's about showing that the Arsenal result was a blip, a one-off.
It's a character test.
A huge one. They need to get that swagger back, reestablish that home dominance, and prove they belong up there.
And you contrast that with what's happening in Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
It's less of a character test and more of an existential crisis.
That's a good way to put it. They're in 17th, just hovering. The pressure there must be unbelievable.
And their recent form is not great.
It's terrible. They've lost their last 3 league games on the bounce, and when you're in that part of the table, that just pulls you right back into the fire.
The stress must be through the roof.
Absolutely. Every pass, every tackle feels like it could be the one that costs you. Points aren't just vital, they're a necessity. They need some breathing room badly.
So we've got the battle for momentum versus the battle for survival. Okay, let's dive into the team sheets because the sources we've looked at show some major personnel issues, starting with Villa.
Right. On paper, they're the clear favorites, but that injury list is getting a bit scary.
Yeah, you've got doubts over Amadou, Onana, Harvey, Elliott, Barkley.
Yeah.
But the real worry is in central defense.
That's the crisis point. Both Torres and Tyrone Mings are either out or major doubts.
And losing one of them is bad enough. Losing both of your starting center backs, that's potentially catastrophic.
It completely changes the game plan. Mings gives you that physical aerial dominance. He's a leader.
And Torres is the ball player, right? He starts the attack.
Exactly. He's crucial for their build-up play, for breaking the lines with a pass. You take both out, and suddenly your entire defensive structure is makeshift.
So tactically, how do they even cope with that?
Well, they'll stick with the 4-2-3-1, but the jobs of the midfielders completely change. The focus shifts entirely to the guys in front of the defense.
Youri Tielemans and Boubacar Kamara.
Yep. They have to be perfect. Their job goes from, just starting attacks to actively screening a very vulnerable backline.
So the strategy has to be attack as the best form of defense.
Precisely. They'll use their structured press, hunt the ball high up the pitch, and try to win it back as far away from their own goal as possible.
And dominate the ball.
They have to. And when they win it, it's all about quick transitions, getting it out to the wings, and finding space behind Forest's defense.
With everything funneling towards one man.
Ollie Watkins. He's the endpoint of almost every single attack.
Okay, so if Villa's got a defensive headache, Forest is dealing with a full-blown migraine.
Oh, it's a nightmare for them. It's a perfect storm of problems.
You've got the injuries. Chris Wood, Ryan Yates, Dan Ndoye, all out.
And then the killer blow is the Africa Cup of Nations. They've lost Willy Boley and Ibrahim Sangare.
And those two are they're irreplaceable.
Absolutely. Sangare is the engine of that midfield. He's the shield, the ball winner. Without him, the whole midfield is exposed.
And Boley is the organizer at the back.
Yeah. Without him, all that pressure falls onto Murillo and Zinchenko to somehow hold it all together against a top 3 attack. I mean, good luck.
So Forest will likely set up in a 4-2-3-1 as well, but it's going to look completely different on the pitch.
Night and day. If Villa are pressing high, Forest will be sitting deep. Very deep.
Parking the bus, as they say.
Pretty much. They'll just look to absorb pressure and hope to hit on the counterattack.
Which puts all the creative burden on one player.
Morgan Gibbs-White. He becomes the most important player on the pitch for them by a mile. He has to do everything.
But the sources we've seen point out some big problems with that plan.
They do. Two main things. First, they just lack a cutting edge. They don't score enough from the few chances they create.
So all that defensive work goes to waste.
Right. And second, even when they're defending deep, they're still vulnerable. And now they're missing the two players who, helped mask those vulnerabilities.
I see the problem. Villa might be weak at the back, but they have a world-class finisher in Watkins. Forest are weak at the back, and they don't have anyone to punish Villa's own mistakes.
You've nailed it. That's the mismatch. Both teams are compromised, but only one has the elite firepower to make the other pay for it.
So let's focus on those individual battles. If this game comes down to one or two key moments, who are the game changers?
It's pretty clear. For Villa, it's Ollie Watkins, without a doubt. His form has been brilliant.
And he's the perfect striker for their system.
He is. His pace, his movement. He's exactly what you need to exploit the space that a quick transition creates. He'll be the one trying to get in behind that deep Forest defense.
But couldn't Forest just, double mark him? Take him out of the game.
They could try, but that's the beauty of Villa's system. If you commit two defenders to Watkins, you leave space for someone like McGinn or Tielemans to operate in. He creates space just by existing.
So he's a tactical weapon even when he's not touching the ball.
Exactly. And for Forest, we have to come back to Morgan Gibbs-White.
He's their only real creative outlet.
He is. If Forest score, it's almost certainly because he made a brilliant pass, took an amazing shot, or delivered a perfect set piece. The pressure on him is it's immense.
Let's look at the data. What do the history books tell us about this fixture at Villa Park?
Well, the numbers are pretty damning for Forest. First, you have that 3-match losing streak, which just kills confidence.
And the head-to-head record.
It's even worse. Villa are unbeaten in their last 6 home games against Forest. That's a huge psychological hurdle for the visiting team to overcome before a ball is even kicked.
And there's a weirdly specific stat about Villa's scoring against them, isn't there?
There is. Villa consistently score 2 or more goals against Forest at Villa Park. It's a trend. And when you think about Forest missing Bowley and Sangaré,
You have to think that trend is likely to continue.
the analysis is extremely confident that it will. Even if Forest managed to nick a goal on the counter, the data suggests Villa just have too much firepower at home for them.
So let's bring it all together. After synthesizing all the analysis, what's the verdict?
The consensus is pretty overwhelming. The bookmakers, the analysts, they all see it one way: a strong Aston Villa win.
The odds are pretty high in their favor.
Around a 57% chance of a home victory, which is significant. And that's even with Villa's own defensive issues. It just shows you how serious Forest's problems are.
And what about the score predictions?
They mostly fall in the range of a 2-1 or 3-1 win for Villa. Again, that points directly back to that historical trend of them scoring at least 2.
So for anyone looking at this from, say, a betting perspective,
The confidence is really in 2 areas. A Villa win, obviously, and the match having over 1.5 goals.
and while both teams scoring is possible.
It is, given Villa's makeshift defense. But the overwhelming feeling is that this will be a comfortable Villa victory, not a narrow, scrappy one.
So the final verdict is in. Aston Villa, backed by their form, their depth, and that home advantage, are expected to win and get their momentum back on track.
And that leaves a final provocative thought for you to consider as you watch the game. We have huge, season-defining absences on both sides. Villa without their defensive cornerstones in Mings and Torres.
And Forest without the entire spine of their team in Bowley and Sangaré.
So the question is, does the sheer scale of Forest's crisis, that losing run, that rock-bottom confidence, just make Villa's home advantage completely unstoppable? Or is Villa's own defensive fragility a big enough weakness for a moment of magic from Morgan Gibbs-White to steal a point?
Watch that midfield battle. That's where you'll see the answer.
That's where the game will be won or lost.
Fantastic analysis. We've given you the full picture. That's a wrap on this deep